Hello everyone. This has been a long hiatus, a long time coming, a long time since I last played Dark Souls. But I am back in Sweden and have been for a bit, and I think it's time I pick this up where I left off. And where I left off was that after defeating Smough and Ornstein, I went back to the Undead Asylum, beat the asylum demon there, sorry, the stray demon, and looted some stuff there. And from here on out, the game kind of opens up. There's several different places to go. We saw where they were in the cutscene that I got from placing the Lord vessel. However, not all of them are equal. Not all of them make sense for every character, as in like where to go first. And so before I tell you where I will go next, which I think is, let's say, a fairly straightforward path for beginners, I'll quickly go over where you can go. So there you go. You can freely decide where you want to go from now on. You're gonna need 4 Lord Souls that you place in the Lord Vessel to unlock the final part of the game for the game's ending. There's some optional content you can do as well. You get to pick what you do at which time. The 4 Lord Souls are at the end of the following paths. One of the places you can go is the Catacombs, which are from Firelink Shrine through this graveyard, and then you'll find an opening, and from there you can go downward into the darkness. The Catacombs and the following area, the Tomb of Giants, which you can now fully explore. I mean, you could have gone there earlier, it's just a bad idea. Now you can go all the way to the end there. Reasons to go there is fairly easy boss fights. I mean, actually, the easiest boss fight of the game is on this path. You can get the Rite of Kindling from that super easy boss fight, which lets you kindle your bonfire to plus 20 Estus, which can be very helpful in some of the areas we're about to go to. You can get the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring, which just gets you more souls per enemy slain. You can meet several Black Knights there, so it's a possibility to get some of them sweet Black Knight weapons. There's kind of tough enemies down there. Not necessarily in the Catacombs, with the exception of the Bone Wheel Skeletons. Those are just annoying. But there are a couple of really tough enemies in the Tomb of Giants. And also, you're gonna want to have a divine weapon. I mean, you don't have to. It's just all of these skeletons and a lot of these enemies, they're gonna keep getting up again. And in the last boss fight, there's also gonna be skeletons that keep getting up again. If you just, kill them with divine weapons, that's it. You just kill them and they're done. It makes things so much easier if you have one. But the thing is, really, for the darkness right now, there are things you can do about it. Otherwise, you're just going to be running around in the dark and walking off ledges. But there's a couple of light sources you can get. So I prefer doing that first. You can also go and explore the second half of Darkroot Garden, which is straight through this door. And you should buy the Crest of Artorias from Andre the Blacksmith to actually open it. At this point in the game, you should be able to afford it. It's like 20,000 souls, I think. If you decide on the new Londo Ruins path, you should do this first, because you're actually gonna need an item that you get after this boss fight to do the new Londo Ruins boss fight. That's kind of the reason to go there. The reason not to go there is this area has a boss fight with a different cutscene after you've done the DLC. I prefer strongly the different cutscene, and so I actually leave this area, even though it's a fairly easy area. So by the time I usually do it, I'm kind of over-leveled and over-geared for it. But just for that cutscene, I leave that for after the DLC. You could go down the new Londo Ruins, which you can reach from Firelink Shrine by going down this elevator. We've been there for a brief stint. Technically, to tell you the whole truth, they have been fully explorable the entire game. The thing is, there's a lot of water here, and you're gonna need to get rid of it eventually to get all the way to the bottom of this area. And there's two ways to do that. The first one, the normal one, is to place the Lord Vessel, and then you're going to meet an NPC, and he's going to give you a key. And then you can use that to use a mechanism that drains the water. You can get this key without placing the Lord Vessel. That is by actually killing this NPC. You can get to him at any time. Technically, right from the start of the game. It's kind of hard, but you can. And then you'll just get the key that way. So you can go all the way down here before killing Smough and Ornstein. So you can do this before going to Anor Londo. I just think for the most part, there's not much point to it. Reasons to go here is you find the very large ember here that lets you upgrade normal weapons to +15, which is really good. There's a Firekeeper soul. And there is a place all the way at the bottom where you can farm Titanite chunks and very rarely even slabs. So Titanite chunks are the ones that you use to upgrade from, +10 to +14, and then you need a Titanite slab, very rare, to actually upgrade to +15. So there's that. On the other hand, really hard boss, and you actually need a ring you don't have to kill that boss, or to even be able to access the boss fight. Kind of hard enemies, and there's no bonfire. Like, you always have to start a Firelink Shrine, so yeah. Kind of a tough area, at the bottom at least. Like, the first half, not so bad. The second half, kind of tough. And the thing is, I like to not do this for plot reasons. Like, either you do this really early for plot reasons, maybe after Anor Londo, but before speaking to Frampt, because then you can actually meet a different NPC, like a different serpent, that you only meet if you do this area before talking to Frampt. Or without ever talking to Frampt. There's that. Or do it really late. And when I say really late, I mean after the DLC. The reason for that is there's a boss fight you need to do before doing the boss fight in this area. It will net you this ring I mentioned earlier. And this boss fight has a slightly different cutscene at the start if you've done the DLC. And so that is what I will do. I will keep this here for last. You can go to the Duke's Archives, which you can see impressively here. Obviously, I'm in Anor Londo. Up these stairs, up that path, there used to be an orange door. It's now gone. We can go there. One of the Lord Souls is at the end of this area. It's a place you need to go. You don't need to finish the area for it, but this is where you actually get the item that lets you access the DLC. So if the DLC is what you're interested in, you should at least do the start of this area. It's got a fairly easy boss fight, in my opinion. So I had an argument with Nick about this earlier, whether Tomb of Giants or Duke's Archives has the easiest Lord Soul boss. You can get a Firekeeper Soul here. You get the large magic ember and the crystal ember that lets you, upgrade magic weapons to +10. Or just make crystal weapons. This is a place to actually advance Sigmar's questline. So it's another reason to go here. You can farm Twinkling Titanite at the end of this area here. So that's also pretty neat for upgrading gear and weapons. On the other hand, it's kind of a tough area, I think. And it's a bit of a confusing layout. And there is an area you're going to be trapped in until you fight your way out of it. So at some point, fairly early on in this area, you are going to get a scripted story death. You will be in a prison and you have to fight your way out of that prison. You will be at the only bonfire in the game you cannot warp away from. It's not a huge area, but it can be pretty annoying if you're not aware it's going to happen and if you're kind of trapped needing to buy something or other. And this is one of the 4 places where you get a Lord Soul. You can go down the Demon Ruins. It's the path that is accessible after the Quelaag fight. You can do the first boss fight here after fighting Quelaag directly, but after that you can't proceed much further until after you've gotten the Lord Vessel and placed it. So down here is one of the areas that will lead you to a Lord Soul. Good reasons to go here are that you get the Chaos Flame Ember and the Large Flame Ember. So those let you do Fire Weapons Upgrade Path to +10 or Chaos Weapon Upgrade Path. Chaos Weapon Upgrade being the one that actually scales with your soft humanity. So this is more something for the pros, I think, less for beginners. You get the Sunlight Maggot here if you play your cards right. This is how you save the Sunbro, and that's a piece of equipment you wear on your head, and it's a lantern. So I like doing this before I go to the Catacombs to Machians. It, however, has the dumbest boss fight in the entire game, probably, in my opinion. It's not even really a boss fight, it's just a gimmick. If you progress too fast here, without doing certain things first, you're gonna let the Sunbro die. Spoiler. But yes, this is where Solaire's questline can end. And how should I put this? This area, especially the one after the Demon Ruins, this is kind of where they ran out of money or time, and they rushed it, and it's half finished. Like, everyone knows this. That's why the boss fight is such a gimmick as well. Yeah, you just kind of have to do it. Nobody really likes it, I think. And I guess it's kind of tough for pyromancers because there's a lot of fire resistance here. Like, duh. Look, everything's on fire. So there's that. After you've done these 4 boss fights at the end of these 4 paths and you have 4 Lord Souls, you can place them in the Lord Vessel and open the door next to the Lord Vessel. Furthermore, you have the entirety of the DLC accessible, and the Painted World of Ariamis, and the Valley of the Drakes. So that's 3 optional areas, plus 1 optional boss fight in Anor Londo I haven't yet mentioned. You can go to the Valley of Drakes. There's just some stuff. There's drakes. I don't think it's all that exciting. You can get some weapons in here. Honestly, most of the time, most games I play, I completely skip this area. You can go to the Painted World of Ariamis, which is a completely optional area. But now that you've been to the Undead Asylum and gotten the peculiar doll, you can approach this painting and you can go there. Strength-wise, you should be in a good spot to actually do this area at this point. It's not that hard. It's just that you're going to be trapped there. You can warp to there, but you can't warp out of the Painted World, so the only way out is through. The good thing here is gameplay-wise, they didn't want you to be stuck in this area, so you can actually skip the boss fight. You can walk out on it. You can decide yourself on whether you want to do this boss fight or not, and you can always just leave. But you're gonna have to fight your way all the way there, so you have to do the rest of the area first. Cool things you can get there is the Dark Ember that lets you upgrade a +5 divine weapon to Occult. I said cool, but it's actually not that cool because Occult isn't really that good in this game. It doesn't do all that much. It just gives you a couple enemies and bosses that you're slightly better against, such as Silver Knight, Dark Knight, Smough and Ornstein, I think the final boss of the game. The thing is, it's not that great. Most normal enemies don't really care. It does give you, however, the Red Sign Soapstone, so that's the thing that lets you essentially invite other people for PvP, so if that's what you're into, you probably want to go there fairly early. And you get the black set, so if you wanna cosplay as Oswald the Pardoner, it's the guy at the top of the Undead Parish who sells you indictments. That's his set that you can get there. And the boss soul of this area, you can transform that into the Life Hunt Scythe. And the thing is, that's Nick's favorite weapon in the game. It's a dexterity weapon, obviously, and he likes it because he thinks it's good for PvP. It has like a 360 swing, I think. Something like that, so all around you. And it is one of the 2 weapons in the game, the other one also found in the area, that has a bleed effect that drains like 50% of the other person's health bar. All the others do like 30. Like if you get bleed to proc, it'll just take away 30% of the health bar. This one does 50%. So that's pretty cool for enemies that are weak to bleed. It does come with the drawback that that you actually also apply bleed to yourself. So you need to actually wear bleed-resistant gear, but if that's what you're into, I think it's pretty fun. The optional boss fight in Anor Londo requires you to pick up a ring in the Catacombs, so probably gonna want to do that afterwards. Actually, come to think of it, there's another way to unlock this optional boss fight here in Anor Londo, and that is to shoot an arrow at the big lady here. So there's two ways to unlock this optional boss fight in Anor Londo. One is to get a certain ring in the Catacombs, equipping it, and kneeling in a certain spot with it equipped. The other one is to shoot this lady. I will do that eventually. I'm not going to do it now. I don't feel like it now, but that's the second thing. And then there's another optional area that you can do, which is to go all the way down the Great Hollow. You can go there now because now you're safe. You can't get stuck. You can always warp back out. So I tend to recommend to not do this until after you've gotten the Lord Vessel and the power to warp, because fighting your way back up is kind of a nuisance. So if you want to, you can go all the way down to the Great Hollow. There's some stuff there. I tend to do that after Lost Izalith for character plot related reasons. But you could always just go back. I actually can't remember if you can warp down there, so I just usually do it when it's good and ready as far as plot goes.